James Creedon here, live and dangerous in the studio. James, good evening to you.
Good evening, Mark.
We're starting with the scandal surrounding one Nicolas Sarkozy, the man who tries to he's never out the headlines. Wiretapped or phone hacked, however you want to describe it. But this has now turned on the government in some ways, hasn't it? Obviously, with the senior minister being, called for her to resign.
That's right. So just to go back over the facts, last week was a week of leaks, and Sarko leaks it was called in the press. First of all, one of his loyal advisors, it appears, had recorded him for hundreds of hours and tapes were leaked to the press. Then it emerged that a judge, an investigative judge, had also wiretapped Nicolas Sarkozy in order to figure out whether or not this was in the course of an ongoing investigation. But what emerged from that wiretapping is that there may have been a case of trying to manipulate a Supreme Court judge, or at least traffic influence, as the French media have been calling it, trafic d'influence. In any case, it paints Nicolas Sarkozy as a corrupt individual trying to corrupt a Supreme Court judge. Let's take a look at the front page of Libération from last Friday, Saturday. The news of the investigative judge wiretaps emerged in Le Monde on Friday. This is Saturday's Libération, calling him the Godfather. Essentially what they were saying is that these leaks throw a harsh light on the system put in place by the ex-president. It shows a system of ministers seeking to please their godfather, seeking his approval, whether it be, I suppose what they're saying is this judge was essentially going to be offered a plum job in exchange for information that he would give to Nicolas Sarkozy about ongoing investigations. And this was a general situation during the Sarkozy years, according to Libération. They're saying ministers didn't seek their legitimacy from the voting booth, but from how approved of they were by Nicolas Sarkozy, who behaved like a godfather in power.
You can watch the way he behaves with the media. I mean, when he sees a camera he doesn't like, he pushes his hand against it and shoves it away. It's disrespecting the media, disrespecting the public, of course, and that's what the public in France never seem to realise.
That's right.
One can only imagine how big a bully he is with his acolytes behind the scenes.
This is the image that was being transmitted in the media, and indeed, remember his presidency was called a hyper-presidency, somebody who was monopolising all of the power of the Fifth Republic's institutions around the Élysée Palace and his presidency. In any case, the point I'm getting to is that this was extremely damaging for Nicolas Sarkozy and for his attempts of a comeback in 2017, until the Canard Enchaîné, the weekly satirical, came out with news that the Interior Minister and the Justice Minister were aware of these wiretaps that had been put in place by an investigative judge. Now, this is where it all goes horribly wrong for the government, because the Justice Minister went on the main evening news on Monday evening on TF1 saying, I knew nothing about this. I discovered all of this in Le Monde when the rest of the public discovered it. In comes Jean-Marc Ayrault, the Prime Minister, the next evening saying, actually, look, the Canard Enchaîné have now come out with the story that the government ministers were aware of this. It's actually true. We were aware of this from mid-February onwards, which basically was saying, not openly, but he was inferring that his Justice Minister had lied to the public about her knowledge of these wiretaps of Nicolas Sarkozy.
Of course, not telling the truth is never a good idea, is it?
Well, the thing is then, it played right into Jean-François Copé, the head of the UMP party's plans. He said, hold on a minute, we have a Justice Minister lying to the public about a judicial wiretap on a former president. She needs to resign. Now, I'll show you how this then started playing out in the media. Instead of this being a nightmare scenario for the UMP party and Nicolas Sarkozy, it was casting François Hollande as a sort of a wiretapping individual. You have Carla Bruni on the front page of Paris Match saying, we will fight against these spying judges and treacherous advisors, right? You have all sorts of analysis in the media. I quite like this. Charles Pasqua, he was an former Interior Minister. He once said, if there is a scandal, what you need to do is create a scandal within the scandal, and if necessary, a scandal within the scandal within the scandal, until such point that nobody understands what's going on. Essentially, that's what many are accusing the UMP party of doing, creating a massive smokescreen to, hide the reality.
But while you're here, there's no chance of that working, because you've explained it all. James Creedon, we need to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Great to see you.
Thanks,
James Creedon with the decoding, if you like, of what's been happening in French politics. Great to see you, sir.
Cheers.
Time for us to take a short break. After that, more news, of course. This is live from Paris. Stay with us.